Good day and welcome back to another DB Legends video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at Shallot and we're going to be seeing just how good he is in DB Legends. Now honestly speaking, Shallot is a very unique character. He is incredibly unique. He has multiple forms. He can basically be anything between a Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan. So there's a lot that he can actually kind of apply. And so it's very difficult to say that there's a one-size-fits-all build for Shallot, as each form actually technically kind of more manufactures a different variation of his gameplay, more so than anything else. But there are a couple consistencies between Shallot. I think the big thing ultimately at the end of the day is that with game originals now potentially becoming a much more common kind of category, I think you could see Shallot being a more frequent, if not infrequent, selection for teams. So yeah, basically there's two forms of Shallot. There's his base form, which is kind of very generic. It's a healing form. It doesn't really do too much outside of that. Relatively solid, nothing too crazy. Provides some healing for the rest of the team. A good unit that has some decent level of stats and synergy. Obviously you have the sparking version or the hero version. We're assessing the sparking version that you can unlock. And he's a melee type unit, so generally speaking pretty good. The big thing is obviously then when he transforms, depending on which transformation you choose, he gains a whole bunch of different passives. For me, we're going to be mainly looking at the Super Saiyan Blue variation, as obviously, I think there is definitely, it's the latest one, but I think ultimately it's just a very interesting, one to take a look at. So we have, firstly, the cumulative growth ability. So this is a unique gauge, basically that applies to him when he is Super Saiyan Blue. Once that unique gauge fills up, he will draw a special arts move card, restore his health by 25% and ki by 100. He gets plus 40% to damage inflicted, plus 40% to special move damage inflicted. He cancels attribute upgrades and abnormal or downgrades in abnormal conditions. He increases his arts card draw speed. He applies nullification enemy special action cover change, and basically every time he draws a blast card while drawn, he gets plus 20% to his blast damage and plus 10% to critical rate. He is a blast based character in Super Saiyan Blue form, so you'll see, like, I have a strike equip. You could and you should replace this with a blast based attack. When he becomes Super Saiyan Blue, he specifically becomes blast based. It's actually very important. He becomes essentially a blast based character. He gets critical rate, he gets minus 10 to blast arts cost, he gets minus 10 to special move costs, his unique gauge buffs blast capabilities, and his blast attacks get 150% to blast armor. What this means is he actually has pretty good synergy in teams that are blast orientated. Things like Universe Rep, things like Universe 7, all of these teams actually have some really good synergy with him in his Super Saiyan Blue form due to the fact that he's augmenting the blast damage. So now when we discuss him as a character, we are looking at him from kind of a blast perspective. I think overall he's good. I mean, obviously he provides a health buff, which is actually one of the big components of him as a character. If you play PvP, you'll know how important health buffs are. Having one is fine, having two is very good if you can cover up with Zenkais and that. One of the big things with him is he is a light unit, the only light unit in the game. So things like, for example, getting Zenkai boosts are just not really available to him. Most of his upgrades in the future will come from new forms or things like new plats, etc. That's realistically how they keep him relevant. Now, obviously, considering we're focusing on the Super Saiyan Blue form, the fact that he starts in a space form is obviously something that's a point of concern. But at the same time, the transformation state does not take long to get to, and it's a fairly solid perspective. He also has some cover change options against blast attack, which is pretty good. So overall, I find him to be really nice as a overall kind of good coverage option that can provide some really good healing and just genuine benefit overall. I think the thing with me when I look at him is obviously the fact that he does do a little bit to facilitate the rest of the team. So things like, for example, reducing ally substitution counters, his main ability healing the team, which is obviously very good, and just, in general, very good kind of capabilities that he has, which I think you have to appreciate to a certain extent. One thing I will say with the Super Saiyan Blue variant is I think it can hold its own on a blast team pretty well. And I think for me, he's a solid option. With Game Originals kind of being buffed up, or kind of, possibly becoming more of a coherent tag that players can use, I think Shallot could be a fun, interesting option. I think he should always remain a solid option. He's not supposed to dominate PvP, but if he can be at least somewhat consistent in it, I think overall that's a good position to be in. You can see here all the solid damage that we're doing, which is very good. I think the big thing is just his base form. That first kind of couple timer counts within the match are always a stressful period when you're trying to utilize Shallot, because of the fact that you really want to transform him to start to gain a lot of these benefits. Now, obviously another big thing about Shallot is going to be his ultimate ability. He has the ability to learn pretty much any ultimate ability in the game, and this is a very significant component as it's an aspect of his kit that you can actually control. So being able to essentially control what special ability you have or special card move you have is very important, because you can always take a relevant special card move and basically turn it into something that you can use, which I think overall is very good. For example, I have a widespread ultimate ability from Super 17, which is actually really nice. It prevents people from vanish stepping me, lets me secure damage, and it's a pretty good ability in terms of its debuffs. So there's a couple that are kind of better than the rest, but I think overall it's honestly something that's pretty good. For me, I gotta say, I find that Shallot has some really nice things to him. The special move ability, his health buff, they are things that are always gonna make him seem somewhat relevant and consistently good in a PvP environment. So although he's not someone you should consider maining or anything, you should definitely consider using him and enjoying using him and just having a lot of fun with him. If you're a new player, there is no reason to not try him out. He's definitely someone that's pretty good, and he can be a useful unit. But yeah, that's going to be it from me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what builds you run or want to see next, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. So until then, as always, take care, stay safe, and bye.